Hi ladies, it's Hillary, owner of Free Babes Handmade and blogger at I'mLikeBrave.com, a blog all about living an uncommon life that you love with your family through entrepreneurship. I personally love having one-on-one coffee dates with other entrepreneurs that I admire, and so I thought it'd be really fun to start a weekly series where I get to interview creative entrepreneurs and you get to listen in. From these interviews, you will learn from their successes and their failures, get behind-the-scenes access to see how they built their business, and you'll walk away with valuable insights that will help you take your business to the next level. So grab a cup of coffee and join the conversation. Enjoy! Hi ladies, it's Hillary, and I'm super excited to be here today with Kat Pagoaga, blogger and owner of Thrifty Littles, a site that presents daily deals and trends for the stylish mom. She's based out of Seattle, and we actually did this interview almost a little over a year ago, but because we both have kids and schedules, it got cut short, and I feel like it didn't do her justice, so I asked her to come back on and interview with me. So thanks for being with us, Kat.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So Kat, before we start talking about your business, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Yeah. So I live in Seattle. I've been here about 10 years. I grew up in Salt Lake City. I have 2 daughters and one on the way, actually. I don't know if a boy or a girl on the way yet, but I have a 3-year-old. Thank you. An almost 1-year-old named May and Winnie. And I stay at home with them and work from home on my business as well. And I don't know what else to say exciting about me. We have a couple dogs. And we have a pretty small house, so we have a lot of, we're going to have 5 humans, 2 dogs in our tiny little space pretty soon, but I don't know if there's anything exciting.
So what did you do before Thrifty Littles?
So before Thrifty Littles, I worked in research, healthcare research. So this was a huge, huge difference from what I've done. And I majored in sociology, so really no background in anything related to this. But I worked in research for probably about 10 years before I had my daughter, and then I decided to stay home with her. Stayed home with her for about a year before I started my blog. So
okay, yeah. And what does your husband do?
He works at Boeing. He's an engineer.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like someone else. It's either you that I'm remembering from a year ago that told me this, or someone
probably.
else.
Probably.
Cool. That's awesome. And. Because Boeing's based out of Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's why we moved here 10 years ago.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more kind of about Thrifty Littles now for all the listeners who don't know about you.
Yeah. So Thrifty Littles is a blog I started, again, when my daughter was about a year old, and I really started it for fun, just as a hobby. Randomly one night. I didn't even put much thought into it. I just thought it sounded like a fun thing to do. I'd had personal blogs before, so it's always been, I love having a creative outlet. But when I made the transition to staying home with my daughter, obviously our finances took a huge hit. And so one of my big goals was to figure out how to live more frugally. And I spent a lot of time on it. So I kind of became a deal hunter. But I also love children's fashion and children's products. I've loved children's products since before I had kids. It's like a natural interest of mine. And so I just decided to kind of combine the two and start a blog. And honestly, when I first started my blog, it wasn't about, I do a lot of like big ticket deals now. And I didn't really start doing that. It was more about like fashion on a budget, design on a budget. But a few months after I started, somebody sent me a really good deal. And I was like, okay, I'm going to post this. And it went really, really well on social media and my blog. It got a lot of hits. I think it was like for an ergo baby. And I just realized like, oh, people kind of have an interest in this. And so then that's kind of how I got into like the high end, like baby gear deals that I do as well. So, and that was a friend who sent me the deal. So that I kind of just like fell into, but my original goal was more focused on children's fashion, baby fashion, design, and then small shops that I've worked with from the very start.
Okay, and then what blogs like influenced you when you were first starting out?
So I love Joy. She's been my favorite blogger forever. I've read her for years. I guess Joy Cho from Joy. And a lot of design budget blogs. There wasn't a lot of children's blogs, I don't think, that I read beforehand, but like Design Sponge, Apartment Therapy, for like the big blogs that I read every day before I started. So, yeah.
So give us a little bit of a bird's eye view of what it looked like your first year building your blog and then up until now.
Yeah. So, as I said before, it started out as a hobby. It was very casual. I'd blog in the morning. My first daughter was a super late sleeper, so she'd wake up at like 9:30 every morning. So I would kind of do a lot of it in the morning, at night, but it was very casual.
Mm-hmm.
But as it started to grow, you kind of feel that pressure to be consistent and reliable. So I just kind of got more of a routine down with it. But it got pretty overwhelming pretty quickly when I started to grow following and realize that people were visiting my blog daily. But it was also kind of one of those things where I felt like it quickly kind of started taking over our lives a little bit, but I wasn't making any income off of it. So about a year into it, I had people ask me, like, do you make money off of these deals or these clicks? And I was like, no, like I knew people did, but it wasn't my intention originally. So I did start looking into it. And so I actually started to view it more as a business about a year in. And it was really when I kind of had to. I either had to quit or turn it into a business because it was just it was way more than a hobby at that point. So it just kind of like naturally flowed that way for me. It wasn't like my intention to start, but it's been great because I love it. I mean, I loved it so much. I was just doing it for fun. But yeah, I mean, when you decide to take it on as a business, it becomes a lot more of a business because there's so many more back end things that you have to do and put time into than just developing content,
Totally.
But yeah, just like growth, finances, figuring out how to monetize your blog, but I actually love all that behind the scenes stuff as well. So it's been really fun. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have anyone helping you now, or is it still just you?
No, I finally do. So I feel like when we first talked 2 years ago, I was at my height of like, I'm going to lose it. I'm about to have another baby. And it was just getting very unmanageable. But I do now. So the first person I actually hired is somebody who does my pinning for me on Pinterest.
Awesome.
She's amazing. She's so good. I get on there, look at her pins, and I'm like, this is better than me, but she's great. That's kind of one of my big areas of focus right now is Pinterest.
Okay.
And I love Pinterest, so I still get on there and pin, but that way I know she's getting really good pins up every day. And then I'm also in the process of hiring, actually she's a good friend from college, but she's a contractor and she's worked in the children's industry and she does design work and marketing. And so I'm going to start working with her and she's going to start doing a lot of the design and marketing stuff that I'm just quite frankly not super good at. And that she's going to be way faster at than I am. So I think it's going to be a really good fit. So she's going to be doing some design work for my actual blog, as well as some marketing stuff and behind the scenes and outreach and whatnot. So
that's awesome. So the girl who does your pinning for you, does she do anything else, or is she just like a pinning?
I think that she pins for a handful of companies.
That's awesome. Yeah. So does she? Do you have like
just
a
blog?
Okay, she does.
Yeah. And on Instagram, I mean, I feel like I can. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
You're gonna give her name up. Everyone's gonna email her.
I don't know.
Do you give her like your overarching strategy for Pinterest and tell her what to do, or does she kind of come up with that for you?
She's way better at it than I am, and so I actually get on. I check my analytics and whatnot. But my growth has been great since she's started, and she pins from my blog as well as mostly content from other places as well. So I don't really have like goals for her per se, but I've just been really happy with her progress. So
awesome.
I don't feel like I've had to really even go there with her. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like she's way better at it than I am.
Yep.
So yeah, she's awesome.
That is really great when you find those people who are just really good at one thing.
Yeah. And she reached out to me, which was great. I'd actually met her at a blogging conference beforehand. And so she asked me, and I was like, that's super brilliant. Like I just need to try. So I told her I'd try it with her for 3 months, and it's going really well. So we've continued on, and one day I'd like to go back to being able to manage my own Pinterest account, but right now I just don't have the time. So it's perfect fit.
Cool. So we're going to back up a little bit and tell us a little bit more about what this business or, your goals for your business will allow for your family. So our blog, I'm Like Brave, is all about women using their business to live lives that they love. And what does that look like for you?
Okay. I think that my goals for running a business is to do something that I love, that I'm interested in, to be able to mostly stay home with my children, and then to provide an income to our family. And those are three things that I've been able to do, to accomplish with my blog. And it's also important for me to still be marketable. I love running my own business actually, and I don't know if I'll ever go back to the workforce, out of home workforce, I guess. But I might. And so it's important to me to always be learning and to know what's going on. So if I ever did, or circumstance came where I needed to, I still feel like I have skills and I'm keeping up with things. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So, it's awesome because I feel like if I did ever go back to the workforce, I still love, I guess out of home workforce, I don't know how to word that because I do work, but, I do love research, but now I've learned that there's so many other things that I'm interested in that I didn't know, like marketing and social media. I have so many other interests. And so it's been really great to be able to kind of dive into those and learn them and apply them and figure out what works. And so those are my goals. And I'm really happy that I'm in the place where I am right now.
Awesome. And your new baby on the way.
Yeah, I know. It's going to get crazy around here. At least she's coming after the holiday season, or he.
You don't know?
We don't know. We're going to find out. We don't know yet. My husband's always thought we're going to have 3 girls, but I feel like this one's a boy, so we'll see. But at least they're holding off till right after the holidays, which is my crazy time. So
awesome. So what do you think has been your biggest failure so far throughout growing your business, and kind of what have you learned from it?
Okay. My biggest failure. So I don't think I have one failure per se, but I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the course of the last few years is to define an end goal and then to stick with it. And whenever you are given an opportunity, ask yourself, does this help me meet that goal? What is my final goal? Because so many different opportunities will present themselves. And so for example, I used to spend hours doing small shop features on Instagram, and I've always loved working with small shops. And at the time, there wasn't nearly as many Instagram bloggers as there are now. But the problem is I'm not a photographer. I don't know how to use a DSLR. My camera's still on auto. I'm terrible. My oldest daughter hates the camera. And so these were just I was getting almost anxiety over them, And after a while, I was just my goal is actually my blog itself. And social media is really great is a marketing tool to get people to your blog. But my goal is my blog, and I can work with small shops in a way that fits what I'm trying to do more. And so I feature them now on my blog in roundups, 10 of my favorite small bow shops, or my favorite pacifier clip shops, or kind of like that. But then I can also use their images. I mean, photography is just not my comfort zone at all,
Yeah.
So just figuring out and sticking to that goal. My goal is my blog, and just to not get sidetracked on projects. So the other biggest thing that I've learned over the last 2 years is that what works for another business might not work best for your business. And so while it's good to listen to advice, you really have to kind of try things out that might work differently for you. When I started, everyone was talking about how Facebook was dying. It was totally unhelpful. All the focus was on Instagram. And so I don't even think I started a Facebook account for a year and a half or so. It was all Instagram. But I learned really quickly that Facebook is really successful. It's a really great marketing tool for me. In a lot of ways, it's even better than Instagram. But if I could go back in time, I would have started my Facebook page a lot earlier and put energy there. a lot earlier than I did. So I say those are my, yeah.
Well, those are both really good. Like going back to your first one, I think it's so important to realize like how easy it can be to get sidetracked as a business owner. And in order to make progress towards your end goal, like you have to be laser focused on what you want out of your business. And it can be so easy to like see shiny objects along the way and think, like you said, you love fashion, you love kids' clothes, and you love to help small shops too. So it can be so easy to just like extend all your time and energy doing things that actually aren't in line with that end goal.
Right.
So I love that. And then
it's also like my job, not my daughter's job, you know? If I had one of these kids that's just like, oh, I love the camera, you know? But she hates it. So it's not anything I wanted to like force on her at all, you know?
Totally. So yeah, just stay in line with like your vision, you know, for your business.
Yeah. Like
don't make your kids post for photos.
What's your one main goal, and do these projects help you reach that? You know, and I still like, you know, do other things on the side a little bit, but like how many hours a week are you spending on these little side projects, you know?
Yeah, that's really good because I feel like we all do it.
Yeah.
So what would you say if you were to teach a college course about business, kind of knowing that you're really good at one thing in business and you have kind of a sweet spot for one thing, what would you teach us? Give us a little bit lesson.
Yeah. Okay. This one's always hard for me because I feel like it's just, I don't know. I feel like I have so much to learn. But I would say that probably social media, just across the board. Like I've learned a lot about Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. Actually, not Twitter at all. I'm really terrible at Twitter, so I'll take that one back. But yeah, learning a lot about, I don't know exactly what to share, but I feel like with social media, one of the big things is to stay educated about it all the time because it changes. The algorithms change and you have to keep a positive attitude about it. Mm-hmm. And when changes come, you just have to be like, I'm just going to go with it and figure out how to use it to benefit your business, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know what else, like what kind of other tidbits of advice I can give per se, but figure out like what works for your business, test it out. Like I said before, like Facebook has actually been way more valuable for me than I ever would have guessed. Well, more so than Instagram. So
I love that you said just keep a positive attitude about it and always stay educated because it's always changing. And instead of just, you know, complaining, like stay ahead of the curve and always use the changes to kind of emerge as the leader.
Yeah.
On social media.
And the thing is, I get it. It's super stressful, especially like, you know, when a big change comes out and like that's how you're supporting your business and all of a sudden you're so worried about your reach and how many people are going to like, I get it, but you know, and it can be tiring. It never ever is going to stop. It's always going to change. And you know, you want to focus on other things, but you have to just like, you have to focus on social, like you have to stay ahead of those changes and be willing to embrace them, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I get it, but it's just part of it.
Totally.
If that's your marketing, like that's something that you have to deal with it.
Cool. Well, and kind of to segue, tell us a little bit more about how you currently market your blog. I'd love to know, like, you know, where most of the traffic comes from and like just your overarching strategy to get readers.
Okay. Yeah. So right now I would say it actually kind of changes month by month, but usually my main source of traffic is from Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah. So and my big focus actually right now is going to be my newsletter. Okay. So I'll go back for history first. So I actually started on Instagram, like I said, then I got on Pinterest. Then I got on Facebook, and Facebook's been really helpful. But yeah, so now I'm kind of shifting my focus to my newsletter because I feel like that really is like the most, that's the best way to connect with your audience. And you don't have to deal with the changes. Like tomorrow, if everything else goes away, if all these social media platforms go away, you know, you always have your newsletter subscribers. Mm-hmm. So, and especially because my biggest thing is like my hits come from Pinterest. So how do I turn those like Pinterest hits into readers, you know? And I think one of the big things is like, can I get them to sign up for my newsletter when they visit? Like, can I get them interested in my site enough?
Totally.
So that's kind of my big focus right now.
Okay.
Pinterest is, and I also focusing more on SEO, which I feel like there's so much information on SEO. It's a little overwhelming, but that's kind of, I've been focusing on that the last 6 months as well. And I definitely do get blog hits from that, which is great.
Cool.
And I feel like my blog is kind of the nature that SEO could work really well for me. So those are, right now, social media really is my marketing tool.
And do you have a strategy for like when you post on Facebook or Pinterest to get people to sign up for your newsletter?
That's my I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's what I'm going to be working on the next 3 months. So I'm going to try out a couple different things, like a couple different ways to do it, because you don't want to like bombard people like, hey, sign up for my newsletter, because then they just get annoyed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of be testing some things out, but that's, I have newsletter subscribers that just subscribe, but I know that there's a way I can do it that will be a lot more effective.
Totally. Well, and this is an interesting conversation because I feel like on Facebook, it's pinned me as someone who likes to take courses, I guess, because I have like every five things is like another woman saying like, learn how I went from being homeless to making $1 million, like, and take my course. It's like the same thing over and over and over again. And it's just like boring. It doesn't excite me anymore. I don't want to sign up. But then I saw something the other day that really worked, and I followed the links, and I didn't even know why. But next thing you know, I signed up for her newsletter and her challenge. And so I feel like analyzing like a new way, something new and different, like you said, always staying ahead. What will really stick out and like work to get someone engaged?
Yeah.
Because it's like as soon as you find that thing that works, everyone does it, and then it works. It doesn't work at all.
I know. So that's my focus. The other thing that I feel very fortunate about is that with my blog, I feel like there's a lot of growth that happens really organically from people like tagging people in sales, which is great. Like I'll post every time if I post like a really big sale, like there's certain sales I post that are like saltwater sandals and hunter boots for some reason. I swear those two are just like huge, and I get tons of tags on those posts, and I usually reach a whole new audience that way.
Yeah.
So that's all really organic. So that's something that I'm fortunate that's kind of a easy way to, get new followers.
Totally.
So
well, and I really love your business model in general because it's never going to get old. Like people always are going to want deals, and you'll always you need to have content, but almost less so because there's always going to be new deals coming up that kind of give you great content. So it's so smart. I love it.
My goal is to be able to have like 2 really good content posts a week, and then between all the deals. So I'm getting there. I'm not quite there. I haven't quite the time to be as consistent, but that is like what my goal is. So.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next question. Where do you get your, your support or find your resources as an entrepreneur?
So for me, I have learned almost everything that I have online. And it's really great that there is so much information for online entrepreneurs and creative entrepreneurs online. I have learned like almost all my technical skills online, and my essentially my business, what I know about businesses, which is not my strength as much, but I've learned almost all of that online and through Facebook groups as well. There's a lot of really awesome Facebook groups, and I learned from my Facebook groups things that I need to know that I don't even know. Like that's how I would best describe it. Someone will like bring something up and I'll be like, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that term is. And then it's like something I need to figure out how to do, So I've learned a lot from those. I've taken a couple courses. My biggest one, I took the Beautiful Mess Photoshop course for bloggers. And I loved that because I had taken Photoshop like through YouTube tutorials and whatnot, but they were never like, you have to have certain skills when you're blogging. And so like that course was awesome. It's like technical. I've taken like Hillary from Dean Street Society. Yeah, I've taken a couple of her courses. I haven't taken her like big like business one, but I've taken some of her smaller ones.
Okay.
And some photography courses.
Cool.
I'm actually I am learning like professional photography next month. That is my goal. But
nice.
Because it overwhelms me so much. So, yeah.
Well, that'll be fun. In what Facebook groups do you have any off the top of your mind that you're involved in that you could give the resources?
Yeah, I've actually really liked the Melissa Griffin, the Nectar Collective,
Yeah,
her
okay.
blog to biz. Are you in that group?
I'm not in it, but is that just like a free group you can be in?
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where you have to maybe sign up for one of her free courses to get it. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't exactly remember the details, but
Okay.
I've learned a lot about. There's a lot of bloggers in that group,
Mm-hmm.
so I've learned a lot through that. I'm also in one with Caitlin Bacher, who does the same sort of thing.
Okay.
It's like called For Love and Money, but it's essentially all focused on online and creative entrepreneurs, which is great. And then I'm part of smaller ones, which I love as well, just for community, especially.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, that's really great. So I'll link all of those resources you mentioned for everyone listening. And then what keeps you going in business? What really motivates you or has influenced you as a business owner?
Okay, so I'm motivated most by my followers, my audience, by like having a vision of like who my reader is, and I get a lot of like direct messages, emails, messages through Facebook, and like people thanking me for certain things, like certain deals. Even I mean, it's like so to me, like that is super motivating when someone is like, I love what you do. I love your blog. This is, and I feel like they always come like the days when I most need it, when I'm just like losing motivation or having a bad day. And I'm like, this is why I do it. Like there are people that are coming that are really excited about their deals, or they're really excited about like a roundup that I do for them where they're, I'm taking away some of the research time they have to do on certain things. Like I love that. And I love baby gear. I love children's products.
Mm-hmm.
I love learning about the new ones. So I feel like it's all just a good fit for me.
Awesome. Cool. What has been your favorite business book you've read?
Oh, so I have not read any, which is really embarrassing. But I have some that I want to read. I heard the E-Myth is really good, and probably a good one to start with. But it's been sitting on my Kindle for over a year.
You've downloaded some books.
Yeah. So yeah, which, it's a start.
Yeah.
When I first started monetizing my blog, I read Blog Inc., which is by Joy Cho, which is a really good like introduction to how to turn your blog into a business.
Mm-hmm.
So that has some really good practical tips and stories from people that have turned their blogs into businesses that are really inspiring. That are like, oh, okay, I can do this. Like this is a thing, So that is a good book for bloggers that are starting out.
Awesome. Cool. And what's your favorite quote?
So my favorite quote, I'm probably going to mess it up. Let me see. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. And that one, I have to give you credit for, because I learned that from I think your creative entrepreneur group. I think that's where I first read that one when people were sharing their favorite quotes. But I love that one.
Yeah.
And I actually like have it written on my, up above my desk, because when you're feeling unmotivated, it really is a good one. And I don't know who that one is by.
I think it's Henry Ford.
Henry Ford?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that quote is so good, seriously, because it's so simple. But like I'm reading Think and Grow Rich right now, that like old book written by the reporter who interviewed, all of the successful people. And it's seriously like the only difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is their thought patterns and
I know.
And their just like determination and their ability to think on the positive side. Like you can have two people from the exact same background and one succeeds and one doesn't. And the only thing that's different is their thoughts and what they're thinking about. So
yeah, I think it's true. I totally believe it. And it applies to many aspects of your life too, not just business. So I actually think of it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love that quote. Okay, so what are you most excited about for Thrifty Littles in the next year or two?
Okay, I'm actually really excited to get going with the friend that's going to help me get some huge things off my to-do list. So I think that's going to be really exciting for me, and it's going to let me focus some of my energy more on like content development, which I'm excited about, getting my editorial calendar really pinned down and having time to do what I want to do. I'm excited for that. I think this picture might be a little crazy since we're having a baby in the spring. So, but I think that's going to be a big one. And I'm actually hoping that probably not this fall, but I'm hoping that next year I'll be able to hire someone to really help with like administrative stuff, like emails and, just more of the back end administrative tasks. I think that would be super awesome. So I'm hoping that I can get there as well. But those are probably my short-term goals.
That's really exciting. Just getting to keep building your team and take some things off your plate so that you can really start honing in on what you love and what you're really good at.
And it's also great just to work with people because, to be totally honest, like being a work-at-home mom and a creative entrepreneur can be kind of lonely.
Yeah.
And so I think it would just be great to have somebody that I can talk to about things and run ideas off of besides my husband. And, so I think that I do miss that part of working outside of the home is like having coworkers that you can talk to every day about things. So I'd love to do that, or maybe even have like blog contributors or like more of even a partner type role, like someone that's just way more involved with it with me.
Totally. Just building that community.
Yeah.
So Beeve, before we end, what advice do you have for all of the listeners, whether it's the women that, have a business already or people who are considering starting one? What have you learned so far that you can kind of tell all of us?
Okay. So I think it'd definitely go back to focusing on your end goal and always thinking about it whenever any opportunity presents itself. Like, does this help me get to where I want to be? That's probably my biggest thing. And then find something that like works for you and then that you love and do it. So I've always said that blogging was really great for me because I'm not a huge risk taker, so like my dream has always been to open a store, but that to me, like, just, it gives me so much anxiety that I don't know if I could ever like do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So to me, like, find something that fits you. So to me, like, doing a blog was good because there definitely there are costs associated with it, but you're not taking on the risk like you are with another kind of business. So just kind of like figure out like what fits your personality, what do you love, and then figure out how to make it work for you.
I love that. That's so great. I feel like the biggest thing that I got from my interview with you is just the importance of putting your goal out there and honing in on that goal. I mean, that's so valuable for all of us out here listening. So I hope all of you have enjoyed hearing a little bit more about Kat's story. And if you have any comments or questions for her, make sure to leave them on the blog post, and I'll make sure to connect you guys. Kat, thank you again for taking time to do an interview with me again.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited about it.
And where can we find you online?
So my blog is www.thriftylittles.com.
Okay.
Pretty much all my social media handles are Thrifty Littles. So
awesome.
Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest.
Great. So, everyone listening, I hope you could take at least one thing and incorporate it into your business today. And thank you again, Kat.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And have a great day, guys.
Thank you.